One of my biggest gripes with Octavia when I tried getting into Steel Path was her sheer squishiness. When running solo, I often wound up going down to my last revive, even after dedicating Archon shards and mods to extra bulk. However, none of the other frames I had at the time really appealed to me enough. So, with nothing to really do other than wait for the next big update, I bounced off of Warframe for a bit. When I came back, I loaded into a mission to start grinding weapons for Mastery rank, and I realized something midway through. Why do we all have so much shield? And who's that? After some research, some grinding, and a grand total of 5 minutes of gameplay, I found a new favorite Warframe, one who is still my current main. Let's talk about Hildryn. Hildryn is a shield-centric Warframe. Notably, she has the highest base shields in the entire game by a wide margin. Also notably, she doesn't have an energy pool. She uses her shields to power her abilities, allowing for pretty big numbers.
Let me assure you, we could certainly use someone with your assets. Ugh.
Hey, my eyes are down here.
Right.
Hildryn's passive, Advanced Shielding, does more than just let shields act as energy. While Hildryn has any overshields, she's protected from sources that directly attack health, like toxin damage. Her shield gating is also improved. Shield gating is a mechanic where you get a smidge of invincibility when you run out of shields. The length of time depends on the maximum amount of shields that have been restored since the last gate. This can range anywhere from between about a third of a second to around 2.5 seconds. However, Hildryn's maximum shield gating period is 3.5 seconds. In Warframe, that's a lot of time. Energy orb pickups will restore shields and instantly reset her shield recharge delay. All of this allows Hildryn to be an amazing tank. Slap on Arcane Aegis and you can almost never die. Now for abilities. Her first is her Exalted weapon, the Balefire Charger. Exalted weapons are channeled abilities that replace a slot on your loadout. Balefire replaces your secondary weapon. Balefire is a launcher-style pistol that does pure electricity damage with low status and low crit chance. Each shot takes from Hildryn's shields. You can also charge shots to increase damage, at the cost of more shield drain. Balefire also has an augment, Balefire Surge. Direct hits will now restore shields when fully charged. Hitting nullifier bubbles will immediately break the bubble and restore more shields. Overall, Balefire is decent, but I don't really use it on my main build. I might explore it more in the future though. Her second ability is Pillage. You strip armor and shields from nearby enemies and restore your shields or grant overshields based on the amount stripped. It also cleanses negative statuses for you and allies in range. Very handy, and probably her best ability in my opinion. It does everything you need it to and then some. Liberal use of this means you can basically become unkillable. There is an augment for Pillage, but it's also related to her third ability, so let's talk about that first. Hildryn's third ability is Haven. While active, Hildryn will be linked to allies and enemies in range. Allies gain a buff to max shields, gain faster shield recharge, and share Hildryn's 3.5 second shield gating duration. Enemies take a small amount of radiation damage, and light and medium classes have a chance to be staggered on each tick. Okay, I know I said small amount of damage, but when going back through lower level content, it's genuinely enough to kill everything in the room through sheer aura alone. Lith relics are so easy to grind. Now, let's circle back to the Pillage augment. Blazing Pillage makes any enemies affected by Haven take heat damage and restore extra shields to Hildryn when Pillage is cast. This gives you good survivability in infested missions, since they don't have shields or armor to pillage, and they're also weak to heat damage. Hildryn's fourth ability is Aegis Storm. You start hovering in place and dual-wield Balefire Chargers. Nearby enemies are also hoisted into the air, and they'll start producing energy orbs every few seconds. This ability is also decent, if a little situational. In indoor tile sets, it can get a little claustrophobic, and its use mainly depends on how well you've modded your Balefire, since it disables any other weapon use while active. There's also an augment for Aegis Storm, called Aegis Gale. While Aegis Storm is active, Balefire gains a secondary fire that deals 15% of your shields as additional damage, scaling with ability strength. I did some math, and if you tried to min-max this out, with 5 Tau Forge Crimson Archon shards giving 15% ability strength each, using every single shield capacity and ability strength mod, plus a maxed out Mold Augmented and Arcane Ice Storm, you have a max shield capacity of 9,211 and an ability strength of 498%, leading to a bonus damage value of 6,881. That is over 10 times the base damage of the Balefire on its own. It's very impractical, but it's very funny. So, with that done, let's go through pros and cons. A high base shield total means she really scales well with mods that increase capacity. Even just a maxed prime redirection brings you into the 5,000 range. As mentioned before, she really benefits from Arcane Aegis and Adaptation, as they can make her survivability skyrocket. Pillage armor stripping can make her invaluable in Steel Path, since armor scaling is the main reason enemies become so hard to kill. Haven allows her to be just as good of a support as a DPS, as having more effective hit points is always better than not. If she does have a weakness, it's that she doesn't really win the game on her own like some other frames can. You do need some decent weapons, he says while holding the Trumna Prime and Dual Toxicist Incarnon, or some friends to support and carry you through. Magnetic procs and Steel Path can also mess her up, as they'll just take all of her shield at once, so be careful about those. Overall, Hildryn is a great, versatile Warframe, and I definitely recommend having her in your arsenal.